The torn paper crown landed crooked on Luca Varrone's black hair before anyone in the community center remembered how to breathe. For 3 seconds, the only sound in the room was the soft squeak of a balloon rubbing against the ceiling fan. Then a 7-year-old boy in a too-big cardigan pointed one solemn finger at the most feared mafia boss in North Jersey and said, "You are king now. Kings sit with the lonely kids." Luca Varrone did not move. He stood in the doorway of the Blue Harbor Community Center in a black three-piece suit, a long black overcoat still wet from the rain, black leather gloves buttoned at his wrists, and a heavy signet ring that caught the fluorescent light like a warning. Behind him stood 2 men in dark suits who looked as if they had never lost a fight, a third man holding an umbrella, and a black SUV idling beyond the glass doors. The paper crown was made from yellow construction paper and a torn flyer that still showed half a faded cartoon sun. One side had been repaired with blue tape. The points were uneven. A smear of purple frosting marked the front like a bruise. It should have looked ridiculous on Luca Varrone. It did. But no one laughed. Ada Mercer froze beside the snack table with a plastic knife in her hand and a half-cut sheet cake in front of her. She had been running birthday parties at the center for 8 years, and she had learned to handle almost every possible disaster. Nosebleeds. Sugar crashes. Grandmothers arguing over folding chairs. A magician who once locked himself in the supply closet. A city inspector who arrived during karaoke. She had not prepared for a child placing a paper crown on a mafia boss. "Noah," she said very carefully. The boy turned his head but did not lower his finger. He stood on the rubber step stool Ada kept beside the snack table so children could reach the water cups. Both his sneakers were planted flat. He was safe, upright, and certain in the way only a child could be when the whole world had failed to teach him caution. "Miss Ada," Noah said, still looking at Luca, "he is standing in the birthday doorway. That means he wants cake. But the lonely table has no grown-up." The lonely table. Ada felt the words hit every adult in the room harder than the thunder outside. At the far side of the community hall, under a paper banner that read "Happy Birthday," everyone in mismatched marker letters, 6 children sat at a round table. They were the ones who had come without parents, without cousins, without someone old enough to clap too loudly when their names were called. Ada never called it the lonely table. She called it the rainbow table because the kids there chose the brightest paper plates. Noah called things what they were. Luca Varrone's eyes moved from the torn crown to the small hand pointing at him, then to the children at the rainbow table. His face did not soften. It did something worse. It stopped being a face at all. Every line in it went still, as if a door had slammed behind his eyes. One of his men stepped forward. "Kid, back away from Mr. Varrone." Ada moved before the sentence finished. She placed herself between the bodyguard and Noah, plastic cake knife still in her fist, pink frosting on her thumb, her navy cardigan covered in glitter from the craft table. "No one touches a child in my center," she said. The bodyguard looked down at the plastic knife. Ada looked up at him. "I know. It is not impressive. It is still in my hand." A tiny sound came from the rainbow table. One of the girls had covered her mouth. Another child whispered, "Miss Ada is doing the scary voice." Ada did not look away from the bodyguard. She was 31 years old, 5'4" in flat shoes, and she had spent the morning fixing a leaking sink with a wrench she kept in her purse. She wore jeans, a cream blouse, and a cardigan with one missing button. Her hair was twisted into a dark knot that had survived frosting, rainwater, and 2 rounds of musical chairs. She looked like the least dangerous person in the room. That had saved her more than once. Dangerous men underestimated women who knew where the emergency exits were, how much flour was in the pantry, which children had peanut allergies, and exactly how to speak so a room full of frightened kids did not start to panic. Luca's gaze shifted to her. It was like stepping in front of winter. "Miss Mercer," he said. His voice was low, controlled, and almost gentle. That made it worse. Ada knew men who shouted were often asking to be stopped. Men who spoke softly expected the world to stop itself. "Mr. Varrone," she replied. "Welcome to the everyone birthday." His eyes flicked to the crown again. "Is that what this is? A monthly party for children whose birthdays got missed, split, postponed, forgotten, or turned into court dates?" Ada lifted her chin. "Today it is also apparently a coronation." Noah nodded. He is king until cake. The paper crown sagged over Luca's left eyebrow. Luca did not remove it. That was the first strange thing. The second strange thing was that he did not look angry. He looked as if a small paper object had found a place on his head that no bullet, no insult, no police raid, no betrayal had ever reached. Ada set the plastic knife down on the cake table. Her hand wanted to shake, so she gave it a job. She picked up a stack of napkins and straightened them. "If you are here about the lease," she said, "you are 42 minutes early." "I am never early," Luca said. "Everyone else is late." "That must be tiring." One of his men coughed into his fist. It might have been a laugh that died for its own safety. Luca's eyes narrowed by a fraction. "You received the notice." "I received 4 notices. One from your lawyer, one from the city, one from a man who smelled like expensive cologne in panic, and one slid under the door with no stamp. I filed them alphabetically. This building belongs to my company. This building belongs to the neighborhood," Ada said. "Your company owns paper." Noah tugged on the hem of her cardigan. "Miss Ada, the king is not sitting." Ada closed her eyes for one beat. The whole room waited. Luca Varrone, head of the Varrone family, owner of half the docks and half the judges who pretended not to know it, looked down at the boy. "I do not sit at children's tables," Luca said. It was not said cruelly. It was said like a law. Like gravity. Like winter. Noah considered this. "Then you are not good at being king." Ada heard the room inhale. Luca's bodyguards went rigid. The children at the rainbow table stared with open awe. Noah stepped down from the rubber stool. Ada put one hand lightly behind his shoulder without pushing him back. "Kings have jobs," Noah said. "They don't just stand there making everybody scared. You have to sit with the lonely kids and ask what color plate they want." Ada felt something deep in her chest ache. The torn paper crown slipped lower. Luca raised one gloved hand, and every adult in the room stiffened. He did not remove the crown. He touched the tape side as if checking whether it was real. "Who made this?" he asked. "Me," Noah said. "It ripped because Jamal wanted the gold sticker, and I said everybody gets 1 point, not all the points." "A kingdom with distribution policy," Ada muttered. Luca looked at her again. "You teach them that?" "I teach them scissors safety, budget math, and that nobody gets all the good pieces just because they are bigger." For the first time, something like breath moved through his face. He turned his head toward the rainbow table. 6 children sat very still. Jamal clutched a green paper plate. Lila had both hands wrapped around her juice box. Mateo stared at the crown like it might explode. A little girl named Bryn held one cupcake in each hand because she had not yet decided which one belonged to her. There were empty adult chairs at the table. They looked louder than the children. Luca took one step into the room. Ada's muscles tightened. "Mr. Varrone." He stopped. "If you come in," she said, "you follow center rules. And those are, no threats in front of children. No business at the cake table. No one blocks an exit. No one makes a child give back a crown once it has been legally bestowed." Noah nodded. "Legally." And Ada added, "If a child invites you to sit, you answer like a person. Not like a weather event." The third man by the door made the mistake of whispering, "Jesus." Luca did not look at him. He looked at Ada Mercer as if she had laid a hand on the center of his chest and pressed. "You are not afraid of me?" he asked. "I am very afraid of you," Ada said. "I am also in charge of 22 children, 2 sheet cakes, 1 diabetic grandmother, and a toilet that only flushes if you jiggle the handle twice. My fear is busy." For the first time that afternoon, one of the children laughed. It was small. It changed the air. Luca looked toward the sound. The laugh came from Bryn, who immediately hid behind her cupcakes. Something in Luca's jaw tightened. Ada saw it. Not anger. Pain. A quick flash under the black glass surface of him. Then Luca Varrone walked toward the rainbow table with a torn paper crown on his head. He moved like a man entering a room full of enemies. Shoulders level. Steps silent. Eyes measuring every window, every hand, every possible angle of harm. But when he reached the empty adult chair, he did not sit. His hand curled around the back of it. The paper crown trembled. Not from his hand. From him. Ada saw it before anyone else did. One tiny tremor through the black leather glove. Noah saw it too. You can do it, the boy said. The chair is not mad. Luca's eyes closed. For 1 second, he looked less like a king than a man standing outside a house where he had once lived, unable to remember which key opened the door. Then the front doors banged open. Rain burst in. So did Councilman Peter Halden in a camel coat, followed by a city inspector and 2 men from the redevelopment office. Halden had the shiny red face of a man who smiled for photographs and sweated through his lies. What the hell is going on here? He snapped. Every child jumped. Ada's hand found the cake knife again before she remembered it was plastic. Luca's eyes opened. The tremor vanished. His bodyguards turned as one. Halden stopped 2 steps inside the hall. He saw Luca, then the crown, then the children, then Ada. His mouth opened and closed. Mr. Varrone, Halden said, voice changing so fast it almost tripped. I did not realize you had arrived. Clearly, Luca said. Noah leaned toward Jamal and whispered, the king has a scary friend. Not a friend, Luca said without looking away from Halden. Ada should not have liked that. She did anyway. Halden recovered enough to pull papers from a leather folder. Miss Mercer, this is not appropriate. The building has pending code violations, and this event was not approved under the new occupancy review. The event was approved 3 weeks ago. Ada pointed to a blue binder on the check-in table. Permit, fire count, allergy list, volunteer badges, emergency contacts, and a diagram of the exits. I can alphabetize your panic too if you give me a minute. The grandmother near the punch bowl whispered, I love her. Halden ignored her. The lease termination becomes active at 5 o'clock. The children did not understand lease termination. They understood Ada's face. Noah's fingers closed around the torn edge of the crown still sitting on Luca's head. You can't take the birthday, he said. Halden smiled at him. It was the wrong smile. Too polished. Too adult. Too empty. No one is taking your birthday, little man. We are just relocating services. Where? Ada asked. That has not been finalized. So nowhere. Miss Mercer. No, she said and stepped in front of the rainbow table. Say it plainly in front of them. If you came to close the center during the everyone birthday, use words a 7-year-old can understand. The inspector shifted uncomfortably. Halden's smile hardened. This is exactly the emotional manipulation that has made this process difficult. Luca looked at Ada. Does he always speak this much? Only when he is trying not to answer. Luca finally pulled out the chair. Everyone watched. He did not sit. He placed one gloved hand on the chair back and turned it slightly toward the children, creating a barrier between the table and Halden. Continue, Luca said to the councilman. Halden swallowed. Mr. Varrone, as you know, your holding company has entered preliminary discussions with the city regarding redevelopment of this block. The community center is an outdated use of the property. We have investors prepared to build a mixed-use residential luxury space with retail on the ground floor. Luxury coffee, Ada said. Retail. Coffee with a wall of plants and chairs no child can spill juice on. Miss Mercer, please. Noah touched Luca's sleeve. Ada almost stopped him, but Noah's hand was gentle, and the boy was standing safely beside the table. King, Noah whispered, is he a dragon? Luca looked down. No, he said. Dragons have better manners. A ripple went through the room. Halden flushed. This is not a joke. No, Luca agreed. It is a birthday party. With respect, Mr. Varrone, this property is yours. The room went quiet again. Ada felt the sentence land. Property. The center's peeling floors, patched walls, free lunches, donated coats, paper crowns, folding chairs, lost mittens, and safe corners became one word in a man's mouth. Luca still had not sat down. Ada did not know why that mattered, but it did. The empty chair beside him seemed to pull at the room. Noah looked up at him with the brutal hope of children who had no reason to believe in powerful men and did it anyway. King, he said, you have to pick a plate. Luca looked at the plates. Green, blue, pink, yellow. Cheap paper circles stacked in the center of the table. His gloved hand hovered over them. It did not descend. Ada saw the tremor again. This time it climbed from his hand into his wrist. The councilman was still talking. We can discuss a donation to help with transition costs. Perhaps a commemorative plaque in the new lobby. A plaque, Ada repeated. For the children to stand under while they wait outside. Luca's hand jerked back from the plates. His face went pale under the controlled olive tone of his skin. Noah's crown slid down to the bridge of Luca's nose. And Ada understood. Not the whole story. Not the wound. But the shape of it. This was not about chairs. It was about sitting down where someone could leave. Mr. Varrone, she said, quieter. His eyes snapped to hers. She held his gaze. You do not have to choose a plate yet. The relief that crossed his face was microscopic. It still felt like watching a wall crack. Halden saw weakness and mistook it for opportunity. We should step into your office, he said. This is hardly the environment for business. Ada laughed once. It was not kind. My office has a mop bucket in it. Then the hallway. No. Every adult looked at her. Ada set both hands flat on the rainbow table, beside the stack of plates. You brought business into a children's party. You can finish being honest here. Halden's eyes went cold. You are making a mistake. Luca said, she is making several. Ada's stomach dropped. He looked at Halden. None of them are yours to correct. The councilman went still. Luca lifted the chair. For a moment, Ada thought he was moving it aside. Instead, he turned it fully toward the rainbow table, lowered himself with controlled precision, and sat. The room did not breathe. The chair was too small for him. His knees barely fit beneath the table. The black overcoat fell around him like a shadow spilled onto linoleum. The torn paper crown tilted over one dark eyebrow. His bodyguards looked as if the laws of physics had changed without notice. Noah grinned. Green or blue? He asked. Luca looked at the plates as if choosing one might detonate something. Black, he said. We don't have black. This is a birthday. Green, Luca said. Noah handed him a green plate with the solemnity of a bishop. Ada felt her throat tighten. She looked away fast and cut the cake, because cake was real and knives, even plastic ones, gave hands a purpose. Luca accepted a paper napkin from Lila. Bryn offered him one of her 2 cupcakes, then took it back, reconsidered, and gave him the other one. This one has less sprinkles, she said. Because grown-ups get less. A sensible kingdom, Luca said. Noah leaned close. You have to ask their names. Luca's mouth pressed into a line. Ada put cake slices onto plates. That is a good rule. He looked at her. You are enjoying this, he said. Professionally. You are enjoying this professionally. Very much. Another small laugh moved through the room. This time more children joined it. Luca looked around at them, not smiling, but no longer freezing the air. Names, he said, as if the word itself was foreign. Noah slapped both palms on the table. You start with yours. Everyone knows my name. Not birthday name. Birthday name. Ada slid a piece of cake in front of him. We use first names at the rainbow table. I do not. You do today. Luca stared at her for 3 beats. Then he looked at the children. Luca, he said. The name sounded too human in that voice. Noah beamed. I am Noah. I like dinosaurs and I do not like when people say later and mean never. Luca's eyes flicked to Ada. Ada pretended the cake required all her attention. Jamal said, I am Jamal and I got the gold sticker fair. Debatable, Noah muttered. Lila said, I am Lila and I can do cartwheels, but only outside because Miss Ada says inside cartwheels are how we pay for new lamps. Correct? Ada said. Mateo said nothing. He pushed a blue plate toward Luca instead. Luca looked at the plate. You are Mateo. Mateo nodded, surprised. You like blue, Luca said. Another nod. Blue is a serious color, Luca said. Good choice. Mateo smiled at his shoes. Ada had to turn away again. Halden cleared his throat. Mr. Varrone, this is charming, but the investors are waiting. The old Luca came back in one breath. Not leaving. Not standing. Sitting at a children's table with a paper crown on his head and a green plate in front of him, he somehow became more dangerous. Let them wait, he said. Halden blinked. Pardon. You interrupted a birthday. Now you wait. Mr. Varrone, you cannot be serious. Luca picked up a plastic fork. His hand was steady now. Miss Mercer, is there a rule about men who talk during cake? Ada smiled without meaning to. They help clean afterward. The children gasped with delight. Luca looked at Halden. You heard her. The councilman went red to the roots of his hair. Ada should have stopped it there. She knew she should have. Humiliating powerful men in front of children was not in the center handbook. Then again, neither was letting them close the center during cake. There are wipes by the sink, she said. Halden's mouth opened. Luca said, I would not argue. For the next 10 minutes, the Blue Harbor Community Center existed in a reality Ada could never have predicted. The most feared man in North Jersey sat at the rainbow table with a torn paper crown on his head while children explained birthday rules to him. Councilman Halden stood by the sink, furious and useless, holding a sanitizing wipe like it had insulted his bloodline. Luca's bodyguards remained by the doors, not touching anyone, not blocking exits, because Ada had pointed at the floor with 2 fingers and said, there and there. Sightlines are fine. The kids need the bathroom path. They had obeyed. That frightened her almost as much as it impressed her. Competence recognized competence, even when it wore black gloves. Ada moved through the room, fixing what needed fixing. She swapped a cupcake before Bryn noticed the frosting had touched a strawberry sprinkle. She reminded Jamal that crowns were not swords. She told the inspector where to find the fire count. She caught a balloon ribbon before it landed in the punch. She put a hand on Mrs. Alvarez's shoulder when the older woman began to worry aloud about losing the Tuesday food pantry. All the while Lucas sat. Not comfortably. Never comfortably. But he sat. The longer he stayed, the more Ada saw the cost of it. His shoulders remained braced. His eyes kept finding exits. When someone dropped a tray in the kitchen, his whole body went so still it scared her. But he did not stand. Noah kept one small hand near the torn crown as if ready to fix it if it fell. At 4:18 the birthday song began. Luca rose halfway out of his chair before the first line ended. The movement was automatic, violent in its speed. Ada stepped beside him and spoke under the children singing. You are safe. He looked at her as if she had said something obscene. Do not, he said. Do not what? Use words you cannot guarantee. Ada lowered her voice. Then I will use words I can. No one in this room has to stand alone while the song plays. His jaw worked once. You do not know what songs do. No, she said. I know what silence does. The children sang louder, off-key and radiant. Noah had both hands around the cake plate. Lila clapped on the wrong beat. Mateo hummed instead of singing. Bryn sang everyone's name because she did not want anyone missed. Lucas stared at the candles. There were not 22 candles. Ada never used real flames in a crowded room. She used battery tea lights, cheap plastic things that flickered orange. Still, Luca looked at them as if they were burning down a house. Ada did not touch him. She wanted to, but wanting was not permission. She placed a yellow paper plate in his hand instead. An object. A job. A choice. Hold this, she said. When the song ends, Noah gets the first corner piece because he made the crown. Then the rainbow table. Then everyone else. Luca looked down at the plate. You are giving me cake duty. You were crowned. Act useful. The corner of his mouth moved. Not a smile. A near miss. The song ended in a burst of applause. Luca did not leave. He held the plate while Ada served the first slice. Noah looked up at him with frosting already on his chin. See? Family songs are better if you have a job. Luca's fingers tightened around the plate until the paper bent. Ada saw it and took the plate before it folded. That is enough for one round. His eyes met hers. There, under the cold, controlled power, was a gratitude so raw it made her look away. Then the side door opened. Not the front doors this time. The service entrance near the pantry. Ada turned, expecting Hector from the bakery with the extra rolls. Instead, 2 men in construction jackets stepped inside carrying orange notices and a metal lockbox. Her stomach dropped. Absolutely not, she said. The taller man glanced at Halden. We were told to secure the rear offices before 5. There are children in the building, Ada said. Not our call. Luca stood. The room changed so fast even the balloons seemed to stop moving. He did not raise his voice. Who told you to put a lock on a door while children are inside? The construction worker took one look at him and forgot how to blink. Halden stepped forward. This is standard procedure. Ada walked to the service entrance and put herself between the workers and the hallway to the pantry. That hallway leads to the food shelves, the coat closet, and the quiet room. The quiet room? Luca asked. A small room with beanbags, lamps, and no questions. Some kids need a place to be upset without an audience. Noah appeared beside her, crownless now because it remained on Luca's head. He carried a strip of yellow construction paper and a glue stick. Also, that is where we keep the extra crown points, he said. The worker shifted. Ma'am, I'm just doing what the councilman's office sent. Ada looked at Halden. You sent men to lock the quiet room during the everyone birthday. Halden's face tightened. Do not dramatize. Luca removed one glove. Slowly, finger by finger. No one spoke. He set the glove on the rainbow table, beside his green plate and Bryn's rejected cupcake. Mr. Halden, he said, you will call your office. I do not take orders from you. Luca looked at him. Halden lasted 4 seconds. He pulled out his phone. Ada should have felt victorious. Instead, she felt tired in her bones. This was what always happened. Someone with a folder, someone with a phone, someone with enough power to make children wait in hallways, and Ada with a binder full of proof that still needed a dangerous man to make people listen. She hated that. Luca watched her face. You disapprove. Of which part? Me. I don't know you. You disapprove anyway. Ada folded her arms. I disapprove of needing you. His expression changed. The words had struck clean. Good, he said. That surprised her. Good. Yes. People who enjoy needing me become useless quickly. That is the saddest management philosophy I have ever heard. It has kept me alive. Alive and unable to sit at a birthday table. His gaze hardened. Ada knew she had gone too far. She also knew children were watching adults teach them what courage cost. Noah quietly held out the yellow strip of construction paper. Your crown is tearing, he said. The tape side had split again. One point drooped over Luca's temple. Luca looked at it. It is paper, he said. That means you fix it before it falls apart, Noah said. Ada's heart pinched. Luca took the yellow strip. He held it like evidence from a crime scene. I don't know how, he said. The room went very still again, but differently this time. Not because people were afraid. Because the most powerful man in the room had said he did not know how to do something a child expected him to know. Noah looked at Ada. Can I teach him? Ada checked Luca's face first. He gave one tiny nod. You may teach him, she said. At the craft table. No, Luca said immediately. The word cracked. Ada stopped. Noah looked confused. The glue sticks are there. Luca stared at the craft table. It sat near the mural wall, covered in paper scraps, sticker sheets, blunt scissors, washable markers, and the remains of 12 unfinished crowns. It was the kind of table adults ignored and children understood. It was also surrounded by small chairs. Too small. Too bright. Too much like a family picture waiting for someone to be missing. Ada softened her voice. We can bring the glue stick here. Noah shook his head. Crown repairs happen at the Crown Place. Luca's eyes closed. Ada crouched beside Noah, not between him and Luca, just beside him. Sometimes grown-ups need a smaller step. Noah considered this with the seriousness of a judge. Like when Mateo used the bathroom hallway first before he came to party? Exactly. Okay. Strip again. King Luca can carry the point. Miss Ada can carry the glue. I will carry the rule. Luca opened his eyes. What rule? No leaving while fixing. The silence after that rule was deep enough to drown in. Ada saw Luca's throat move. Quiet turn, she thought, though she would never have used those words aloud. The moment when the room stopped being about power and became about whether a dangerous man could let a child teach him how to stay. Noah, Ada said, rules must be fair. It is fair. I have to stay too. Luca looked down at him. You do. Noah nodded. When I rip stuff, I want to run away. Miss Ada says repair means staying until the tape sticks. Ada felt Luca's gaze on her. She says that, Noah added, because she knows a lot. I am beginning to understand that, Luca said. Ada picked up the glue stick from the snack table. Craft table. 3 minutes. No business follows us. She looked at Luca's men. Then at Halden. No one, she repeated. Luca put his bare hand over the torn part of the crown to hold it in place. Without the glove, his hand looked more human and more dangerous. Scar across the knuckle. Old burn near the thumb. Family ring heavy against skin. He followed Noah to the craft table. The walk took 15 steps. Ada counted each one. So did Luca. At the table, Noah pulled out a small chair. Luca stared at it. You don't have to sit in that, Ada said. There is an adult chair by the mural. No, Luca said. He lowered himself into the small chair. It was absurd. His knees rose too high. His coat pooled on the floor. The torn crown slid forward again. Noah climbed onto the chair beside him and carefully flattened the yellow strip. Ada sat across from them. Not beside Luca. Across. So he could see the door over her shoulder and still see her hands. He noticed. Of course he noticed. You placed yourself in my sightline, he said. I place myself where I can reach the glue and block glitter from becoming a weapon. Glitter is a weapon. Finally, common ground. Noah giggled. The sound loosened something in Luca's face. Noah uncapped the glue stick. First, you put glue on the not shiny side. Luca took the glue stick. He held it wrong. Noah corrected his fingers without fear. Ada watched Luca allow it. That was the story no title could fully say. A man whose hands had signed death warrants allowed a child to reposition his thumb around a purple glue stick. Like this, Noah said. Not too much, or it gets lumpy. I dislike lumpy crowns, Luca said. Everybody does. Ada folded a paper scrap into a brace. Here. Put this behind the tear. Luca looked at her hands. You have done this before. I run a community center. I repair kingdoms before lunch. And after. Leaking sinks. Grant budgets. Hurt feelings. Occasionally dragons with poor manners. Noah leaned in. He said councilmen are not dragons. I stand corrected. Luca pressed the paper brace into place. The crown stuck to his fingers. Noah gasped. No, you have to wait. Glue needs patience. Luca went still. I do not have much of that. You can borrow some, Noah said. Miss Ada has extra. Ada smiled before she could stop herself. Luca looked at that smile as if it hurt. Do you? He asked. No, she said. I have practice. The rain tapped against the high windows. In the main hall, the children returned to cake under the watch of volunteers and 2 very confused bodyguards. Halden murmured angrily into his phone near the exit. The inspector pretended to study Ada's permit binder, because it gave him somewhere to look. At the craft table, a Mafia Boss waited for glue to dry. He lasted 42 seconds before saying, How long? Until it sticks, Noah said. That is not a time. It is a truth. Ada's breath caught at the simplicity of it. Luca's did too. He looked at Noah. Who taught you that? Miss Ada. She teaches many things. Because people leave stuff broken. Ada looked down. Noah did not mean to cut. Children often found the tenderest places because no one had told them where adults hid their scars. Luca's voice changed. Who left you broken? Ada looked up sharply. Mr. Varrone. Noah shrugged. Lots of people. But not today. Not today. It was such a small kind of hope. Ada had built her whole life around it. Not forever. Not fixed. Not saved. Just not today. Today there was cake. Today there were plates. Today a dangerous man wore a paper crown because a child had asked him to. Luca looked at the crown under his hand. My brother had a birthday crown, he said. Ada did not move. Noah did. What color? Red, Luca said. With gold stars. He made it himself. He was 6. Did it tear? No. Lucky. Something like a laugh left Luca. It had no humor in it. Only air. Not lucky, he said. Ada saw the room behind his eyes again. The one he could not sit inside. You do not have to tell us, she said. I know. He did anyway. My father was killed during my brother's birthday dinner. Not in the room. Not in front of us. But close enough that the song had not ended when my uncle came in and told my mother to take us upstairs. I remember the candles. I remember the crown. I remember my brother asking if he had done something wrong because everyone stopped singing. Noah's face changed with the grave empathy of children who understood blame too young. He didn't, Noah said. Luca looked at him. No, he said. He did not. Did you sit with him? Luca's bare hand curled on the table. No. The word was small. Ada felt it settle. I was 12, Luca said. Old enough, they told me, to stand with the men. My brother sat at the table alone in his red crown while the adults whispered. I stood by the door and watched him stop being a child. Noah pressed one finger gently on the glued paper brace. That's why you don't sit? Luca's eyes stayed on the crown. That is why I do not stand in doorways at birthdays either. Until today. You stood in ours. Yes. But then you Saturday. Luca looked at him. Noah nodded once, satisfied. So you are fixing. Ada had to look away. The paper crown dried. Not perfectly. One point leaned. The blue tape still showed. The flyer sun was upside down. Noah lifted it with both hands and placed it back on Luca's head. There, he said. Now you are a repaired king. Luca closed his eyes for one breath. When he opened them, he looked at Ada. What do you need to keep this place open? She almost answered. Money, a lawyer, the lease, a new boiler, a roof patch, a miracle, a city that did not sell children by the square foot. Instead, she said, I need you not to buy me. His gaze sharpened. That was not my question. It is my answer. You would refuse help? I would refuse ownership dressed as help. Noah slid off the chair. I am going to tell Matteo the king knows glue now. He ran back to the rainbow table before Ada could remind him to walk. He was safe, laughing, crown duty complete. Ada and Luca remained at the craft table. The small chair creaked under him. You assume I only know how to own, Luca said. I assume men who own buildings forget people live inside them. I did not know about the center. You signed the redevelopment packet. My office did. That is not better. His mouth tightened. Good, Ada thought. Let it sting. You are correct, he said. That stopped her. He removed the torn crown and set it on the table between them. Carefully. Like it mattered. My company holds the deed. Halden brought investors. I was told the center had been vacant half the week and financially mismanaged. We are open 6 days a week. We run meals, tutoring, birthday club, code exchange, job forms, senior tax help, and a quiet room because children are not vending machines you can unplug after 5. Show me. Show you what? The books. So you can decide if we deserve to survive? So I can see who lied to me. Ada studied him. The old fear was still there. So was something else, unwelcome and inconvenient. The sense that when Luca Varrone said a thing, the thing became real. My office is a mop bucket, she warned. I have negotiated in worse. I doubt that. I once negotiated a ceasefire in a fish freezer. Fine. Comparable. He stood from the child's chair slowly. The crown remained on the table. Ada picked it up before she could think better of it. Noah will want this back, she said. It was bestowed legally. I will log it in the Royal Archive. His eyes moved over her face. Do you always joke when you are angry? No. Sometimes I alphabetize. They crossed the hall. Children watched them pass. Luca's men straightened, but he lifted 2 fingers and they stayed put. Halden tried to follow. Ada turned. No business at the cake table. No business near the quiet room. And no business in my mop bucket office without invitation. Halden looked at Luca. Luca said, You were not invited. In the mop bucket office, Ada spread the lease, permit copies, repair invoices, meal receipts, and Halden's illegal fee letters across the desk. Paper first, she said. Then you talk. Luca read in silence. His questions were precise enough to prove he understood every trick Halden had used. You kept receipts, he said. I run a community center. Men with folders hate women with binders. He tapped the final notice. You can stop the lockout with this. I can prove the rest. And what do you want? To know who lied to me. That is not an answer. It is the only clean one I have today. Ada opened the door so he could still see the children. You can go, she said. But you cannot pretend you never sat down. Luca looked toward Noah, who was teaching Matteo how to brace a torn crown. No, he said. I cannot. Halden was waiting by the check-in table when they came out. He had regained some of his color and none of his judgment. Mr. Varrone, I trust Miss Mercer has dramatized the situation to her advantage. Ada felt Luca shift beside her. Not forward. Not loud. Just enough that the air drew tight. Miss Mercer showed me receipts, Luca said. Halden's mouth twitched. Receipts can be misinterpreted. By amateurs. The inspector suddenly found the permit binder fascinating again. Luca handed one file to his man near the door. Marco, send copies to Bellandy and Shore. Ada knew those names. Every nonprofit director in the city knew the firms that took impossible cases and won them in ways that made mayors develop sudden charity. Halden went pale. That is unnecessary. You tried to lock a quiet room during a children's birthday party, Luca said. Necessary became a small word today. Noah appeared at Luca's side with a paper cup of punch. King Luca, Matteo says if you are staying, you have to draw your kingdom. Halden made a strangled sound. This is absurd. Luca accepted the paper cup. Yes, he said. And yet I am thirsty. Ada pressed her lips together. Luca looked at her. Professionally amused? Deeply. He turned back to Halden. The lockout is cancelled. The redevelopment vote is suspended. Any attempt to enter this building without Miss Mercer's written approval will be treated as trespass. You do not have authority to suspend a city process. No, Luca said. I have evidence that you falsified one. I also have patience today because a child lent me some. Do not test how long it lasts. Halden looked around the room. The children had gone quiet, not frightened this time, but watching. Adults watched too. Mrs. Alvarez. The volunteers. The inspector. The construction workers. People who had been taught that doors closed because men in coats said so. Ada stepped forward. Mr. Halden, she said, you can leave now. He looked at Luca. Luca sipped the punch. Halden left. The construction workers left faster. The inspector remained long enough to whisper to Ada, your fire exits are beautifully labeled, before fleeing into the rain. For one heartbeat, no one moved. Then Bryn shouted, does that mean we still have pizza? The room exploded. Not into chaos. Into life. Children cheered. Mrs. Alvarez cried openly into a napkin. Jamal declared that the king had defeated the Knot Dragon. Matteo offered Luca a blue marker. Noah retrieved the torn paper crown from the craft table and placed it back on Luca's head without asking. Luca bent slightly to make it easier. Ada saw that too. The bend. Not submission. Not weakness. An accommodation. A dangerous man adjusting his height so a child could finish what he started. Ada turned away before her face betrayed her. She busied herself with pizza boxes, because comfort needed logistics. She sent a volunteer to check the quiet room. She asked Mrs. Alvarez to call the parents who were due for pickup. She wrote the new legal names on a sticky note and placed it in the lease binder. She wiped punch off the floor before someone slipped. Luca watched all of it. Eventually, he came to stand beside her at the sink. You run this place like a battlefield, he said. You say the sweetest things. I mean it. So do I. He removed his remaining glove and picked up a dish towel. Ada stared at him. What are you doing? You said men who talk during cake clean afterward. You talk during cake? I existed during cake. That is not the same thing. For me it often is. She should not have laughed. She did. The sound surprised them both. Luca dried a stack of plastic serving trays with the grim concentration of a surgeon. He did it badly. Ada corrected him twice. The second time, he gave her a look that had made district attorneys lose sleep. Corners, she said. Food hides there. He dried the corners. Noah ran up with purple frosting on his sleeve. King Luca, you have to sign the crown book. The what? Ada winced. A composition notebook where kids sign when they make or repair a crown. It is not legally binding. Everything here is legally binding, Luca said. Noah nodded. Exactly. He dragged Luca to the check-in table. Ada followed because she did not trust the crown book, not because she wanted to watch Luca Varrone write his name under a list of children. The page had columns. Name. Crown color. Rule learned. Noah pointed. You right, Luca? Crown is yellow and flyer. Rule learned is sit with lonely kids. Luca took the marker. His hand hovered. Ada looked at the line. It does not have to be perfect, she said. I know. Do you? He looked at the repaired crown in Noah's hands. No, he said. But I am borrowing practice. He wrote, Luca. Yellow. Sit with the lonely kids. The letters were sharp, controlled, unmistakably adult among the round child handwriting. Noah studied it. Good. Your approval is generous. You can come next month. Luca went still. Ada felt the room narrow around them. Noah, she said softly. If he is king today, he can be helper next time, Noah said. Kings retire. Luca's eyes lifted to Ada's. The question was there again. Can I? She thought of the lease, the lawyers, the danger attached to his name, the children who already trusted too quickly, the center that needed help but not ownership. She thought of the torn paper crown and the way he had said he did not know how. She thought of him sitting in a chair too small for his body while a child taught him patience. Next month, Ada said, helpers arrive on time, sign in, wear volunteer badges, and do not bring an entourage into the snack area. One of Luca's bodyguards looked personally wounded. Luca did not look away from Ada. Understood. Helpers pass background checks. Ada, I am serious. So am I. And helpers do not buy the center. He was quiet for a moment. What if I place the building into an independent trust with the board you choose, fund repairs through a public grant match, and remove my company from operating control? Ada stared at him. That was very specific. I negotiate quickly. You terrify me. Yes, he said. But not only. No, not only. That was the problem beginning to unfold in her chest like paper. We will discuss it with lawyers, she said. Your lawyers. My lawyers. Good. Noah tugged on Luca's coat. Do helpers get crowns? Luca looked down at the boy. Only if legally bestowed. Noah held up the repaired crown. This one is yours until pickup time. Luca bowed his head. In the middle of the Blue Harbor Community Center, the most dangerous man in North Jersey lowered his head for a child holding a torn paper crown. No one laughed. Ada placed the crown on him herself. Her fingers brushed his hair. For a second he did not breathe. Neither did she. Then a little girl shouted that someone had put olives on the cheese pizza, and the spell broke. Life rushed back in. 1 month later, the lockout notice was gone. The roof repair had begun, and the center sat in an independent trust Ada's lawyers controlled. The repaired paper crown hung above the craft table, taped crookedly where every child could see it. At exactly 2, one black SUV stopped outside. Luca entered alone except for a driver at the curb. He signed the volunteer book, pinned on the turtle badge Ada handed him, and placed a bag of purple glue sticks on the table. A kingdom should not run out of patience, he said. Noah ran up with a blue crown. You are not king today. You are chair helper. A demotion, Luca said. A promotion, Ada corrected. Kings stand around. Helpers work. Noah pointed to a new boy sitting alone with an untouched cupcake. Chair helper, ask if the seat is taken. Luca looked at Ada once. She nodded. He walked to the rainbow table. Is this seat taken?